I have seen chaos rise in ordinary times and witnessed the collapse of dynasties. I have seen the birth of a wise ruler, sweeping mountains and rivers, and restructuring the world. That year, I was in my prime, standing behind the crowd, holding my pockets in both hands. Later on, I heard about immortals, learned immortal methods, and embarked on the path of immortality. On the path of cultivating immortality, I stumbled step by step. I have heard that one genius after another is amazing and gorgeous, leading a moment of coquettishness. And I, just like ordinary people in the past, was just a group of people in the crowd. The great road is merciless. Time flies, and beauty grows old. Time flies, the world is full of vicissitudes. Later on, I eventually became an immortal step by step. On the road. Some people say that immortality is like a dream, but nothing. Some people say that our cultivators should forge ahead. Some people say that 10,000 years is too long, he only seizes the day and night. Ah, yes, yes. Excerpt from Gu Changsheng's Memoirs of the Immortal Lord by Go Dao Xian. Go Dao, Changsheng, Mortal Flow, Decisive Killing. The time span may be very long, perhaps many female leads, keywords of the novel. Go asks about Changsheng in a different world without a pop-up window. Go asks about Changsheng in a different world. Download the complete set of TXT, and read the latest chapter of Go asks about Changsheng in a different world. Chapter 1. Once again youth, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Once again youth, this night, it is pitch black. Flash and thunder. Under the stormy night sky is an antique town. The letter on the city gate reads, Yuzhou. Chu State, Yuzhou City. All sounds were quiet, with a hint of pale gold falling into the city amidst lightning and thunder. But due to the speed being too fast, no one could detect it. In the south of the city, there is a bookstore. Do Da's rain patted the pale face of the young man on the ground outside the door one after another. The memories of 2 lifetimes are constantly merging. Chu State. Yuzhou City. Gu Changsheng. Half asleep and half awake, countless streams of information flow and digest in the mind. Like walking a horse and observing flowers. And what appeared before me was the life of the young man also known as Gu Changsheng. In 447 AD of the state of Chu, the old emperor passed away and the new emperor ascended to the throne, changing his name to Anping. It was also in this year that Gu Changsheng was born in the city of Yuzhou, a boy. At the age of 1, Gu's father was overjoyed as he took the small one and raised it high above his head. Gu Changsheng was frightened and cried loudly. Gu's mother, who had just given birth and was lying weakly in bed, angrily slapped her father. At the age of 3, as the only child in the family, Xiao Gu Changsheng has been greatly favored since childhood and grew up happily. At the age of 5, the Gu family passed down their family through education, including great-grandfather, great-grandfather, father, and 3 scholars. In this year, Xiao Gu Changsheng's carefree childhood seemed to have come to an end. In my memory, the thick and large wooden stick in Gu's father's hand was the eternal pain of Xiao Gu Changsheng. At the age of 7, studying for 2.5 years, Xiao Gu Changsheng has already mastered 3,000 Chinese characters. At the age of 9, I heard that a 100 Flowers pavilion had settled in Yuzhou City. The flower queen in the pavilion amazed the whole city as soon as she appeared. Little Gu Changsheng was curious and asked Gu's father what the flower queen was. Get beaten up and beaten up. At the age of 12, he took the imperial examination for the first time, but unfortunately failed the Tongxing exam. Although Gu's father had a calm expression that he had anticipated long ago, there was still a hint of regret in his eyes that he hoped his son would succeed. At the age of 15, after taking the imperial examination for the second time, Gu's father fell seriously ill and quickly passed away. Soon after, Gu's mother also passed away in grief. For the first time in his life, Xiao Gu Changsheng experienced the separation of life and death. In the same year, the child passed the exam. At the age of 17, Changsheng, who had overcome the pain of his parents passing away, picked up his family's business and reopened the Yojia bookstore, which had closed for more than 2 years. At the age of 18, I learned that Miss Lu, who used to come to the bookstore to buy books, was going to marry someone today. However, the groom is not me, he is a martial arts bully. I am very sad. Drinking heavily all night in the courtyard, borrowing wine to alleviate worries. It's night, pouring rain, lightning and thunder. By midnight, the temperature dropped sharply. Death. Born plain, died single. Evaluation, a lifetime of waste. There are no swords, no talents, and no beauties. But it's just a story of a poor scholar who gets married because of his crush on a young lady, borrows wine all night to relieve his worries, and then his original body cools down. What a pity. Changsheng absorbed all the memories from his original body and rubbed his head heavily. Climb up from the muddy ground and walk towards the eaves to block the rain. I still feel emotional in my heart. I once swore to make a name for myself, but I haven't stepped out of Yuzhou City yet. Young man, listen to my advice, it's not worth it. Licking a dog, has nothing. Cough cough. Cough cough cough. Not taking a few steps, this weak body really coughs step by step. Under the eaves, Changsheng was very speechless. Is that all? What kind of illusion has Duke become, still learning from others to borrow wine to ease their worries? He suddenly felt that his original body had cooled down, which was not too unfair. Fortunately, he crossed over quickly while it was hot. Changsheng naturally accepted the fact that he had traveled through time, and he had no intention of delving deeper. Whether it's in a parallel world or in a passing world, whether it's giving him a chance to live a new life, he would be happy to see him handsome. Even he wanted to come a few more times. Is this reasonable? This is very reasonable. It's absolutely reasonable. His original name and surname are the same, both surnamed Gu and Changsheng. Unfortunately, they are two safe short-lived ghosts. However, he won because he lived a few years longer than his original self, had more knowledge, and now he has lived a whole new life. This time, he really win thoroughly. Only those who have died once know the preciousness of life. He wants to live forever in this life. Boom. There was a clear roar between existence and non-existence. Suddenly, a golden light shone brightly in his mind, almost blinding his eyes. In his sea of consciousness, there is a strange and spectacular, long river, that appears to exist forever, vast and ancient. But it feels like the present, like the future. The long river is vast, boundless, and has no end. I don't know where it comes from or where it flows. Every little wave that rises in the river. They are all composed of countless mythological and epic scenes, with magnificent waves and countless brilliant stories. Every ripple that ripples seems to point straight towards the main road. Time is cheering for him, and time is crowning him. He is the fruit of longevity. Name. Changsheng, talent. Immortality, age. 18, skill. Confucianism, beginner 70/100, messy information appears in a way that he can understand. The simple and clear property panel is very easy to understand. A few strokes, yet shocking and thought-provoking. He existed long before he fused his memories. There's nothing to say about the panel, the most important thing is the talent for immortality. Longevity fruit, longer than the river of time, feeds on time. Obtaining it can lead to longevity. Changsheng. At this moment, Changsheng really wants to burst into wild laughter. But they were all suppressed by his rational efforts, and his whole body was tightly tense. There are millions of laws in the world, all of which are illusory. Only immortality is like a dream, and people strive to cross it. And he has already achieved longevity. To be honest, that year when I was holding my hands in my pockets, I had no idea what an opponent was. A few black, thick, and large pieces of wood were ignited, and the flames burned fiercely, dispelling the chill and illuminating this not-too-big cabin. Changsheng had already changed into a relatively clean clothes and sat in front of the flames. After digesting the memories of the original body, the whole person is quietly thinking. Think about where to go in the future. Although he has been born, he is not immortal. Changsheng Daogua has two major abilities. Firstly, it is not bound by lifespan. Secondly, not getting old. When this body matches the age of his previous life, that is, 6 years later, at the age of 24, he will never age again, and millions of years later, his appearance will remain unchanged. Besides, he is no different from an ordinary person. The attribute panel is more like a buy 2 get 1 free gift, but it can provide real-time feedback on his current physical condition. No additional points are allowed, and there is no sign in function. After all, the body is mortal, ordinary, and ordinary. Will get sick, will get injured, will be killed, will also die. And his current situation, although it seems relatively safe. But that's just superficial. In my original memory, there are truly warriors in this world. Soaring eaves and walls, capable of carrying a tripod, with blood and energy like a rainbow, one enemy can withstand 100. And the martial arts, the rivers and lakes. It is definitely not as beautiful as what is told in past life stories and novels. Xiao breaks the ban with martial arts, and martial artists are willing to seek revenge and act recklessly. In this world where great power belongs to oneself, with more warriors, there will naturally be more disputes. And it's even more blatant and undisguised. Fighting in the martial arts world, grudges and grudges, robbing families and houses. It's just a common occurrence. There are still certain dangers for ordinary people living in this world. It is best to pray not to be affected, otherwise, every minute will be the rhythm of family destruction and death. At this time, the state of Chu, the great Chu, perfectly matched the scene of a dynasty in the apocalypse. Not to mention managing and restraining these arrogant warriors, they are all suffering themselves, looking like half-dead and quick pills. The martial artists inside repeatedly violated the ban, and uprisings continued throughout the country. From time to time, there are also natural and man-made disasters that affect a wide range. In addition, above the court, there is a perfect combination of incompetent rulers and treacherous ministers. The rule of Chu has been rapidly collapsing irreversibly. Looking ahead, another dynasty's end is coming. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Starting from today, abandon the text and practice martial arts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Starting from today, abandon the text and practice martial arts. Changsheng also combined all the memories of his original body over the past 10 or 20 years, learning from history, and finally realized that this great Chu may not be a pill. Almost all the chaos of the late dynasties can be seen in the current state of Chu, and it is unreasonable if it is not over yet. Of course, it may not be accurate either, but it can only be said in 9 out of 10 cases. After all, the situation in the two worlds is not exactly the same. But the basic principles should still be common, he believes in his own judgment. In fact, the state of Chu can't finish it all, but Changsheng doesn't really care. He can at most be a foodie and enjoy watching movies. But he has just crossed over now, and he hasn't even started to procrastinate yet. I want to hold the state of Chu and shake it vigorously, begging it not to get cold. At the very least, you have to wait for him to survive and have a certain level of self-protection ability. After thinking about 1, 2, 3. 4 ways to retreat, how cool you will be, big brother. Changsheng is very clear about his current situation. To describe it in one sentence, it is. It is easier to obtain the way than to defend it. His Tao came too easily, and he didn't have the art of protecting the Tao. This makes him feel very insecure all over. Being immortal is the way, how can one have no skills? The first thought when I first crossed over was, I must hold on. Stay still, don't be reckless. My advantage lies in me. Fortunately, the current situation in the state of Chu is not the worst. The current situation should still be able to hold on for a few more years. After all, it is also a dynasty that has existed for hundreds of years, and its rule has deeply penetrated people's hearts. If it were to be cool, it would not be completely cool in just 1 or 2 days. Otherwise, Changsheng might already be packing up and preparing to run away. Go may have spent so much money, but it's still important to have a small life, it's not embarrassing. The next morning, someone slowly opened the door of a bookstore from inside. The old and loose wooden door is older than Changsheng's 2 lifetimes. A series of unbearable squeaks and squeaks were emitted. The sunlight poured in through the gap of the open door, shining on Changsheng's face. There was still a hint of pallor on that delicate face. As if separated from the world. The bookstore is located at the end of a shopping street in the south of the city. The front is a storefront, the back is a residence, and there is a small courtyard between the two. Usually, this place is quite lively, with many shops on one street. In my memory, under the double taxation of gangs and officials who were originally in the south of the city, I was able to ensure my own food and clothing for a month, leaving only a small amount of money. Although there are reasons why the Gu family has been running this bookstore for 4 generations, it is also due to the relatively high foot traffic on this street. It has to be said that the original body did leave him a considerable legacy. Changsheng brewed a pot of tea, flipping through the books of the bookstore, but his mind was not here, recalling the inheritance left to him by his original body. Not only this bookstore, but also a few acres of thin farmland in the Gu family's countryside, which are rented to the Gu family for cultivation. Every year, a large amount of additional land rent is received. The original body is one person who is full, and the whole family is not hungry. So, over the years, I have also accumulated about 20 taels of silver in scattered deposits. This is already a large deposit. A typical family of 3 in Yuzhou City, if we only calculate the cost of food, only about 2 taels of silver is enough for 1 year. That is to say, the original deposit is enough for a family of 3 to eat for 10 years. Of course, this is the price of grain in the past. In my recent memory, the grain prices in Yuzhou City have also begun to rise. Moreover, the price is quite touching. A good person. Sure enough, there are still many good people in this world. Changsheng felt a strong warmth and wished to give his original body a blow. He made up his mind to burn more paper money for his original body next year. The so-called wealth of literature and martial arts means that whether in the past or present life, the cost of practicing martial arts is much higher than studying. In this world, the status of a scholar is far inferior to that of a warrior. There are more than 10 martial arts schools of all sizes in Yuzhou City, but the fees for each one are not low, and they are similar. I don't know if they have been discussed. A month is at least 5 taels of silver, and a year is 60 taels. The minimum starting time is 3 months, otherwise you won't even be able to enter the martial arts school. And this is just the basic cost of entering a martial arts school to prepare for learning martial arts. Practicing martial arts also requires various medicinal herbs and a large amount of meat as a supplement. Otherwise, people will become weaker and weaker as they practice, mainly because their bodies cannot withstand it. Spending over 100 taels of silver this year is not a big deal. This is already equivalent to the money an ordinary family of 3 spends on buying grain for 50 years. No wonder there are so many martial artists in the martial arts world who make a living by raiding homes and robbing the rich to help the poor. Repeatedly killing, I'm afraid everyone is going crazy and poor. Beginners have not even touched the door of a true warrior, so they have to spend so much money. What about a true warrior? I'm afraid it's a real astronomical number. Gu Changsheng originally thought that the 20 taels of silver left by his original body were a huge sum of money, but now it seems that it is enough for him to touch the gate of the martial arts school. However, that is already enough. I have such a clear understanding of warriors in my original memory, but I dare not think about becoming a warrior. It seems that everyone has the possibility to become an enviable warrior. But without money, you are not allowed to enter this door. It's okay, I have fulfilled this wish for you. Gu Changsheng saw the envious and eager gaze he had once had in his memory, as he looked at the martial arts school. However, after hesitating for a long time at the door, he still timidly left. He closed the account book and said with a smile in his eyes. I don't know if it's a coincidence, but he did see too many scenes in his original memory that were very similar to him, just like the person he used to be. But upon closer inspection, it was not him. Just a teenager who bears a striking resemblance to him. Gu Changsheng lazily stretched his waist, put the books in his original position, and casually picked up a book sold in the store to open. If nothing unexpected happens, he should spend a long time in this bookstore in the future, which depends not on how long he can stay, but on how long the Chu state can hold on. As an elder, one must endure loneliness in order to maintain prosperity. Gu Changsheng was also mentally prepared for this, as the road to Changsheng is long and endless. And he himself is not actually an active personality. I even wish I could survive in one place until the end of time before coming out of the mountains. It's not bad to be a 10-mile slope sword god. Full-level boss abusing the new village. The sun gradually rose to the sky, and no one came to buy books all morning. Gu Changsheng also enjoys leisure. This is normal. Bookstores usually have the best business during noon and afternoon, and because the prices of books are relatively slightly expensive, they cannot sell a few books in a day. Although Gu Changsheng has some immature ideas now, he still needs to become a warrior first. He has already considered about the martial arts school where he practices martial arts. The small Yuzhou city doesn't have much internal skill, almost all of it is external skill, also known as martial arts. So, you can only choose a general from a short stature. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Hunger at the end of the year, people eating each other. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Hunger at the end of the year, people eating each other. Hey, have you heard about it? These people have all escaped from the 2 states of Yunqian. Yeah, look, this is just such a big kid, he's almost starving to the bone. How many crimes have he suffered along the way? There is still a part of Qingzhou between Yuzhou and these 2 states. If we calculate it this way, there must be 1,300.400 miles of land, which is still less to say. Sigh. Now in this world. Sigh. After coming out of his home, Gu Changsheng didn't walk much and found that there were many refugees on the street. One by one, their bodies were all dirty, some were still holding wooden sticks, cuddling children in their arms, their eyes numb, leaning against the roadside, all of them equally weak, ragged, and bony. Some are lying down, some are sitting, and only when they see someone coming can their numb eyes burst out with a hint of pleading. Seeing a crowd discussing ahead, he leaned in and stood at the back of the crowd, listening for a while, and then he basically understood. Gu Changsheng frowned and a news from a few months ago flashed through his mind. In the 18th year of Emperor Anping, which is also this year, there was a severe drought in the 2 provinces of Yunqian. I thought it had nothing to do with Yuzhou, but I didn't expect the situation to be so serious. And listening to the discussions among the crowd, the most important ones are not only natural disasters, but also man-made disasters, otherwise the situation wouldn't be so bad. However, one by one, they remained silent and only dared to say a few words, and then dared not continue. They looked at each other with sympathetic eyes, occasionally sighing. The meaning is that the water inside is very deep, I can't grasp it, I can't say much, I can only say that I understand everything. It is estimated that many people, like Gu Changsheng, are secretly cursing the dog emperor in their hearts. Last night, a sudden heavy rain added insult to injury. You can see many people lying on the ground, watching as they exhale more and inhale less. Ladies and gentlemen, please do me a favor. Poor old man, my family, please buy this child so that we can have some rice soup for the family to drink. Dad, once we get here, no one will want to drive us away again, will they? Mom, I'm so hungry. Mom, why aren't you talking, Mom? Changsheng couldn't bear to turn his head, with a heavy expression on his face. In my heart, I sighed lightly, hunger at the age of 1, people eat each other. If you don't experience it firsthand, it may be difficult to understand how heavy the pain behind these short 6 words in history books would be. Dad. Suddenly, a burst of tears came from not far from him, and Changsheng immediately looked sideways. I saw that in a refugee household, it should be a family. One of the 7 or 8-year-old girls in this family, although she was already starving and not very attractive, her facial features could barely be seen as pretty. She was selected by a wealthy family in the city and bought. After paying the money, the buyer had not yet gone far, and the little girl kept turning back frequently. And this cry came from the mouth of the little girl. A few Kong martial arts experts, who were both powerful and idle, were clearly members of a gang in the city. They were smiling and snatching away most of the money that the family had just sold their daughter for. The lives of refugees are not worth much, and in fact, there isn't much money in total, just a few dozen copper coins. But for refugees, this money is a lifeline for the family. That's it, the gangs in the city are actually taking away most of it. Of course, it's not about grabbing money in name, but about making money. Commonly known as protection fee. Even the money for selling children and women to refugees is being snatched. This operation is truly inappropriate. Sigh. Changsheng sighed secretly and turned around to leave. At this moment, his understanding of this world has become even more profound. Inner city. Go out of the Cloud Martial Arts School. Although there are many martial arts schools of all sizes in the city of Yuzhou, there are only 3 well-known ones, namely, Chuyun, Shashan, and Benlei. It is also known as 1 palm, 1 fist, and 1 knife. Chuyun Martial Arts School is the one with the lowest fees among the 3 martial arts schools, and it is also the most suitable for Changsheng. Compared to other martial arts schools in Yuzhou City, Chuyun Palm is already the least harmful among all martial arts school professors. Of course, mastering it is also the most difficult. Perhaps it is precisely for this reason that the fees are relatively low. And what Changsheng doesn't lack the most is precisely time, and his body is very clear to him. Perhaps this relative is not so obvious, but it is already his best choice. The tightly closed red painted gate looks very tall, and the 2 majestic stone lions at the entrance add a touch of solemnity to the martial arts school. Changsheng stood in front of the gate of the martial arts school, looking at the plaque above his head. He let out a light breath to calm his emotions. Stepping forward, he reached out and knocked on the door of the Cloud Martial Arts School. What are you doing? Soon, a gap half the size of his body opened through the side door, and a young warrior peeked out, his gaze scrutinizing him. I, Changsheng, have heard that the martial arts of the Cloud Martial Arts School are exquisite, and I have come to learn from them. Changsheng bowed politely and said. Tisk. The young warrior patted his mouth and muttered softly to himself, how elegant. Looking up and down at Changsheng again, he stepped aside and said, come in. Changsheng remained calm, pretended not to hear, and followed him inside. As soon as I entered the martial arts school, what I saw was many shirtless men pounding hard at sandbags, wooden stakes, air, and water pools. The sound of palm piercing through the air. The dull sound of flesh and wood colliding. The sound of hand and water hitting each other. For a moment, it never stops. I followed the young warrior all the way through the training ground and only stopped in front of a house. Senior brother, someone has come to pay their respects and practice martial arts. The young man knocked on the door and shouted loudly inside. "Come on in." A strong and powerful sound came from inside the house. Inside is a separate small practice room, with a figure facing away from Changsheng and the young warrior who brought him in. Pop pop pop. The owner of that figure's hands were almost turning into remnants and disappearing, constantly shooting towards a blue stone the size of a human head. I don't know if it's an illusion, but Changsheng saw beauty from these waving hands of a big man. That is a somewhat ethereal and mysterious beauty. After a few breaths, the movements of the master with both hands finally stopped. Without even looking at the blue stone, he took a handkerchief from the side and wiped his hands, turning around. "Teacher. Touch." As the young warrior was about to speak, the head-sized blue stone suddenly split into 4 pieces. Hiss. The young warrior was very cooperative and took a cold breath. His face was full of admiration, and he took a step forward, introducing Changsheng loudly in a dog-like manner. "Have you seen it? This is our second senior brother in the martial arts school. Xiao, senior brother. Don't underestimate senior brother Qi. Although he is young, he has already entered the ranks of third-rate martial artists. He is skilled in using cloud palm, and he is also famous in the rivers and lakes of Yuzhou. People say, Xiao, the hand of the treacherous clouds." End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Is waste material myself? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Is waste material myself? Although it can be seen that senior brother Qi is specifically making a name for himself in front of others. But Changsheng still cooperated and showed shock on his face, with a perfectly fitting look and expression of admiration and longing. In fact, he was really shocked in his heart. This was the first time he had seen a warrior demonstrate his strength at such close range. I have to say that this skill is indeed very strong. Being able to crack the blue stone, if it hits a person. Its power can be imagined. After wiping his palms, senior brother Qi placed the handkerchief on the table to one side and looked up and down at Changsheng. Looking at Changsheng's thin and weak body, he frowned slightly. "Your body. Senior brother Qi." Changsheng bowed respectfully, lowered his head, and spoke firmly. "A few days ago, there was a serious illness. Before the gates of hell, I had been thinking for a long time at home and had already decided to spend all my family wealth practicing martial arts. Please complete it, senior brother Qi." I could hear Changsheng's words were very firm, and senior brother Qi's slightly furrowed brow also gradually unfolded. He sighed and said, "Okay, since that's the case, I won't advise you anymore. Remember, when martial artists fight, their moves have already been used and there is no way out. Even a point of superiority determines life and death. I will definitely remember senior brother Qi in my heart," Changsheng said respectfully. He does remember it in his heart, but it's not for fighting people, but to avoid fighting them. In contrast, he prefers to wait for 180 years, waiting for his enemies to die of old age, and then jumping on their graves. "Have you brought all the money? Here it is." Upon hearing senior Qi's words, Changsheng carefully took out a full purse hidden in his arms, and a hint of heartache and reluctance appeared in his eyes. There were exactly 15 taels of silver scattered in his wallet, which, apart from real estate such as houses and shops, was already the majority of his wealth. Senior brother Qi opened his wallet and weighed it up and down, feeling that it should be just right. 15 taels of silver, you can learn martial arts in the martial arts school for 3 months. If you quit in the middle, the silver will not be refunded to you. Of course, if you demonstrate excellent qualifications and make rapid progress in martial arts during your learning period, the martial arts school will also consider making you an official disciple. The latter half of senior brother Qi's sentence seems more like a casual remark, giving people a sweet taste and a way of doing things. He has said this to many people. After speaking, senior brother Qi gestured to the young warrior who was leading Changsheng in. Lin Jun, take this junior brother down to collect a set of clothes and martial arts techniques. Let him take a look for a while, then you can guide him. I will go over to test later, and at the same time, you can explain the rules inside the martial arts school to this junior brother. Okay, senior brother Qi. Young warrior Lin Jun replied. Gu Changsheng finally learned the name of the young lackey who led him into the martial arts school, Lin Jun. This is the room where martial arts school disciples usually sleep, and you can also temporarily stay here for free. Lin Jun walked ahead and introduced Gu Changsheng one by one without looking back. That's the cafeteria, where there are medicinal herbs specifically used to supplement the body when practicing cloud palm. After taking them, practicing martial arts will have twice the effect with half the effort. There are also various types of meat, of course, these are all expensive. The martial arts school usually opens at the hour of Mao and closes at the hour of Hai. If you don't want to live inside the martial arts school, remember to come early. Of course, come late or not, as long as you don't mind wasting money, that's okay. As for the training ground, you saw it when you entered just now, so I won't say anything about it. Suddenly, Lin Jun stopped walking in front of him. Gu Changsheng looked up and found it to be a somewhat remote mansion. Wait for me here for a while, I'll be right out, Lin Jun turned around and said to him, then he strode inside. Soon, Lin Jun's figure reappeared. Hand him a small notebook that is not too thick and a piece of clothing from a martial arts school disciple. The book looked as thin as a recipe and pitiful. But Gu Changsheng's emotions were still a bit excited as he took it with both hands. Because on top of this book, there are several thick black characters written with sharp strokes. Chuyun Palm. Skin Film Chapter. He finally got a martial arts book. Although it is not a divine skill secret book, it is just a very basic, non-mainstream martial arts book. You should be clear about the division of martial artists, and those who do not enter the mainstream should practice the mask. This martial arts book is my entry-level martial arts from the Cloud Departing Martial Arts School, and it is also the front part of the Cloud Departing Palm. When I practice this book to the fullest, I can break through to the realm of non-mainstream martial artists. Lin Jun suddenly looked at him with a serious expression and said, you can browse here, but you cannot take it with you. Without the permission of the martial arts school, you cannot pass it on to others to learn. Gu Changsheng is clear about the division of martial artists, including those who are not in the top tier, those who are in the third tier, and so on. On top of the top martial artists, there are rumors that there are also innate and great masters. But he knew nothing about the specific types of warriors in each realm, and even those who did not enter the martial arts world needed to practice skin masks. This was the first time he had heard of it. I know senior brother Lin. Gu Changsheng nodded solemnly. By the way, senior brother Lin, what kind of martial artist are you now? Gu Changsheng pretended to be curious and quietly inquired about information. Me. Haha. Senior brother Lin Jun lifted his chin slightly, looked up and sneered proudly, his skin has grown. Senior brother, I'm afraid we're not far from breaking through Qi senior brother's realm. Junior brother, I'm here to wish him success in martial arts and unparalleled divine skills. Gu Changsheng shamelessly flattered him. It's not so easy to practice from skin to flesh and blood, Lin Jun waved his hand and said humbly. Suddenly, he felt that Gu Changsheng in front of him was quite pleasing to the eye, and even had a clear and beautiful appearance. However, he never knew that the young man in front of him, weighing only about 100 pounds, was probably someone with a heart for 80 pounds. Those who do not enter the realm of martial arts, also known as the skin membrane realm, are the first realm of martial artists. In the martial arts world, there are the most such martial artists, and like ordinary people, they do not deserve to have a name, commonly known as the passerby armor. A third-rate martial artist in the realm of flesh and blood has become the mainstream in the martial arts world, with a relatively small reputation. They will have their own exclusive titles, such as Qi Senior Brother, known as Qi Xiao, a skilled craftsman. Second-rate martial artists. In the internal organs realm, the master of the Cloud Martial Arts School is a martial artist in this realm, belonging to the true high level in Yuzhou City. Changsheng was flipping through the pages of the Cloud Palm's secret script that had already been opened, organizing the information he had just received, feeling lost in thought. Sigh. He glanced at his attribute panel again and sighed. Name: Changsheng, talent. Immortality, age 18, skill. Confucianism, beginner 70/100, is it still not possible to directly include it in the panel? Changsheng's expression was slightly regretful. It seems that, as he had previously thought, only when he truly starts learning a martial art will it be included in the attribute panel. Junior brother Gu, have you finished reading it? If there is anything you don't understand, you can ask me for advice. Next to him, Lin Jun and Lin's senior brother were leisurely and confident. He has no idea what he is going to face. Senior brother. Can I say that I don't quite understand this? End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Cloud Palm. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Cloud Palm. Junior brother Gu, you are still too modest. You don't really understand. I'm afraid your hand has just grown. Senior brother Lin Jun roast. What kind of things are they all hitting? Is this the Cloud Palm? He couldn't tell at all when he looked horizontally or vertically that there was something about Changsheng's set of Cloud Palm that truly had some connection with the Cloud Palm. I suddenly realized that this operation was as fierce as a tiger, and it was actually just a blind fight. Junior brother Gu, keep an eye on it. This is the true Cloud Palm. Senior brother Lin Jun's words fell behind and he stood straight. The whole person's temperament suddenly changed. Walking like the wind, thunderous applause. His moves are not exactly the same as Senior Chi's. Chi's senior brother's cloud rising palm is shrouded in mistiness but also carries a hint of strangeness, surpassing others in making it impossible to defend against. And senior brother Lin Jun's cloud palm is very grand, looking as bold as thunder and clouds in front of him. It's just tough. There is no right or wrong between these two, it's just a difference in approach. But even though it's the same set of martial arts, when two people use them separately, it's very different. It seems that martial arts are also something that follows people. Changsheng stared intently at Lin Jun's movements, comparing them with the secret recipe of the Cloud Palm in his mind, and gained a lot in his heart. He also doesn't know if he understands correctly. Quickly, the set of Cloud Palm was finished. Lin Jun let out a light breath and turned to ask Changsheng, Junior brother Gu, do you understand? There is some gain. Changsheng chose to speak truthfully. Then you call me again and show me. Lin Jun stood with his hand down and his eyes bright as he said. Changsheng stood in place, slightly closing his eyes. When he opened his eyes again, he moved. His movements were not very fast, even very slow. All the moves were based on his understanding of the Cloud Palm. Not bad, at least. I've made significant progress compared to your last time. Lin Jun patted his shoulder with encouragement. Although the Cloud Palm was still so fragmented that he couldn't bear to look directly at it, at least this time he could still see the shadow of the Cloud Palm from Changsheng's movements. Although it's just a little bit, not a lot, hey, there's progress. Lin Jun then pointed out and corrected the problems in Changsheng's movements. Junior brother Gu, have you recorded all the content of the Cloud Palm? Changsheng glanced at the ultra-thin booklet placed next to him, then looked up at Lin Jun and nodded. I've almost written it down. Okay, then I'll go put this thing back in its original position inside. You can go to the training ground ahead and try to practice it yourself, don't wait for me. Take a closer look at how others use their cloud rising palm. The way of martial arts is to become a master. If there is something you don't understand, you can also seek advice from others, Lin Jun said. After speaking, he picked up the booklet lying on the ground and quickly left without looking back. Changsheng watched his graceful departure and blinked his eyes. Senior brother Lin Jun's character is actually quite good. Although there is a little bit of arrogance in his personality, and he has the potential to be a lackey in front of Senior Qi, I don't know how these two somewhat contradictory attributes appear on him alone. But overall, during this short period of time spent together, he could still feel that senior brother Lin Jun was a relatively reliable person. The training ground of Chuyun Martial Arts School is very large, almost occupying almost half of the entire martial arts school's area. The entire training ground is divided into several parts, and according to one's own martial arts progress and needs, one can freely choose the corresponding area. His main task at present is to familiarize himself with the moves of the cloud palm and get started as soon as possible, without the need for any props to assist in this process. Changsheng arrived at a corner of the training ground, where almost all the men were fiercely chopping into the air. Racking their brains, they are fighting against the air with wits and courage. It is obvious that these people are also newcomers to the martial arts school who, like him, have not yet fully mastered the cloud palm. At the same time, this area has the largest number of people, about 20.30 people, but it is vaguely divided into two parts. Although there are few people in a group, they all gather together, and their exposed clothes are mostly gorgeous, eye-catching, and their faces are full of pride and confidence. And the other group of people, although many, are scattered and mostly dressed in the same way as him. At first glance, the wealth gap between the two is very obvious. Of course, those who can come to the martial arts school to practice may not be able to enter even the truly poor. At least, just like him, he can afford the lowest tuition fee for entering a martial arts school to practice martial arts, and his family can barely be considered to have some meager income. Changsheng's arrival did not attract much attention. At most, a few people glanced at him and then withdrew their gaze without interest to continue practicing martial arts. Chuyun Martial Arts School is one of the three major martial arts schools in the city. Almost every day, new people come in and some leave, which is normal for people to come and go. Changsheng chose a less eye-catching place and did not rush to practice martial arts, but carefully scrutinized the movements in the hands of others. Compare it with his own. After watching for a while, I had some gains in my heart. The sun is getting thicker and the sun is shining in the sky. Changsheng stood in the corner, meticulously slapping the clouds over and over again. He doesn't seek anything stunning or commendable. Just seek action standards. Whenever he stopped, he would sit cross-legged, look at the non-stop actions of others, try to absorb the essence of others, and sum up his own experience. Is this action standard, is that move incorrect overall? His intelligence is quite good. But the route of practicing martial arts is still unknown. Noon. Having eaten meat in the cafeteria of the martial arts school and also cooked 3 large bowls of white rice, Changsheng was heartbroken to find out for the first time that he could eat it so well. He spent more than 51 in total. As for the medicinal herbs sold in the cafeteria along with the cloud palm, he also saw it. It was a reddish-brown soup, steaming hot and smoking, and 1 pair cost 1 or 2 silver coins. He could only look at it with envy, unable to afford it. And those wealthy families in the city who enter martial arts schools to practice, these dog tycoons, are almost drinking tonic soup made from medicinal herbs as water, once a day without interruption, and do not care about the price at all. Sure enough, everything in the world comes with money, and with money, you can become stronger. Immersed in martial arts, time passes quickly. Unconsciously, the sun in the sky is about to set. Changsheng's cloud palm in his hand is becoming more and more proficient, somewhat decent. He doesn't know how long it will take to truly enter this martial arts. Anyway, although the movements seem to be getting more and more standardized. But others don't have the feeling of getting started at all. Getting started is so difficult. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. The Road of the Big Boss, starting with copying books. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. The Road of the Big Boss, starting with copying books. I'm getting started. Ha ha ha. I'm getting started. Dot. A burst of laughter almost echoed through half of the training ground. Changsheng turned his head to look. A young man, who should be about his age, was looking down at his palm and then up at everyone's gaze. Senior brothers and sisters, let's observe it. The young man was full of energy at this moment, with his black hair and hem swaying gently. The feeling of chi and blood remaining in the body. The young man immediately played a very smooth set of cloud palms. The applause occasionally carried the sound of breaking wind. This is the power under the blessing of chi and blood. The so-called entry level refers to sensing one's own body's chi and blood from martial arts, and utilizing them. When the body's chi and blood accumulate to a certain extent, one can officially enter the ranks of non-martial artists. Getting started is the first step to becoming a warrior. Congratulations to senior brother Guan Yen. Several people familiar with the boy congratulated him. In fact, getting started is not difficult. What's difficult is how to accumulate chi and blood in the body after getting started, and officially break through the steps to become a warrior. This requires persistent hard practice. If one cannot persist, they will never become a true warrior in their lifetime. A person who only knows a few moves like this is like a crucian carp crossing the river in the martial arts world. If a person has a good foundation in martial arts, a large amount of meat supplements, and specialized medicinal herbs and secret remedies for conditioning, all of these can greatly shorten this process. Although that was the case, Changsheng still clearly felt that after Guan Yan's cloud release palm was introduced, the others seemed to have also worked hard. One-word description. Roll. As the practice arena was about to roll up, Changsheng didn't give them a chance at all. Practicing martial arts also requires a balance between work and rest. He has been practicing martial arts for a long time today, and no matter how much, he is really afraid that his body cannot bear it. If I can't get involved with you, I might as well not get involved. My dog's life is at stake. Besides, he's a perennial seed, why bother rolling? Compared to time, no one can beat him. Stepping on the sunset, accompanied by the sunset. Changsheng's arms were slightly bulging as he walked home with his head down. This is a few pounds of pork he just bought on the way by a meat shop. There's no way, the cost of practicing martial arts is really too high. And his body was already quite weak, and if he didn't replenish it properly, Changsheng was afraid that one day he would suddenly cool down. There was a hint of doubt in his calm gaze as he lowered his head. Because he realized that he had walked so far, from the inner city all the way to the south of the city, he had never seen any refugee in the city. It's like those refugees during the day, as if they've never appeared in this city before. And when Changsheng was almost home, it was still the street during the day, the familiar intersection. He finally understood what happened in the city during the day. He really met a great kind-hearted person alive. The old men in the city are kind-hearted, and they cannot bear to see the human suffering of refugees who suffer from hunger and cold. So, with the words of the old men, all the refugees were driven out of the area where Yuzhou City is located. And subsequent refugees can only stay outside the city and are not allowed to enter the city again. Basically, it can be said that refugees are left to fend for themselves. A good thing is clean when not seen. This is not a compassionate living bodhisattva. What is this? Whenever Changsheng felt that he had understood the world enough, he would still be refreshed again. In terms of disappointing people, the state of Chu has never let them down. The Chu, pills. Night falls, pitch black like ink. Changsheng is leaning on his chair and reading at night with the lights on. The small courtyard is still lit with lights. The culture of this foreign world is actually quite brilliant in some aspects. For example, the miscellaneous books he is currently reading in his hand are the best selling type in the bookstore. The sales of all books in the bookstore are even slightly higher than those of Confucian classics. It's not an autobiography of a big shot, it's the ultimate fantasy of impoverished literati in destitute warriors. It is quite similar to his published novels in his past life. Especially miscellaneous books about the martial arts world and the types of warriors. Maybe it's because in reality it really exists. So this type of miscellaneous book has always been the best selling in the market. As for the content, it's basically something that's hard to come by for 100 years. It's just a chance encounter, where I've learned world-renowned divine skills, followed by the favor of various beauties, and the attention of various experts in the martial arts world. And among these miscellaneous books, they all carry a lot of mystical demeanor to some extent. In his past life, he couldn't even pass the trial. Changsheng's purpose of flipping through these miscellaneous books when he is idle is naturally not to do anything. It can be foreseen that in the next 3 months, he spends almost all day in the Cloud Martial Arts School, practicing martial arts and palms. During these 3 months, the revenue of bookstores may immediately show a cliff-like decline. It is likely close to none. But regardless of whether he has income or not, his future martial arts expenses cannot be too low. And the savings left by the original body to him are not much left, and cannot sustain him for too long. So, making money is also quite urgent now. So what does he know? He doesn't know how to burn glass, and he dares not take it out. White paper and strong liquor seem to have existed on the market of Chu State for a long time. And he also doesn't know how to. As the third person who made a fortune as a traveler, he feels ashamed that he doesn't know anything about it. And other things he thought about and realized that they still didn't work. It's all a dead end. He is still skilled in copying books. Coincidentally, even if he opened his own book shop, it wouldn't be too eye-catching. This may not make him rich overnight, but for Changsheng, any overnight riches are all evil ways. Long flowing water is the true way. As long as it doesn't attract attention, that's the best. So, Changsheng did not hesitate any further and wrote the big characters, smiling and proud in the Jianghu, on the pure white paper with his pen. He doesn't quite remember the original plot, but it's okay. Anyway, he just borrowed the name of this book. He still remembers the famous characters in the book very clearly. He changed the background story of the book and added some plot elements from other martial arts novels and famous characters. With his various experiences and routines in the online literature world from his past life, even if he collects and writes a lot of words on water, it is still a blow to dimensionality reduction. I don't know how many years ahead of the Chu State in this era. Just kidding, this book may even be able to write about the Great Chu, but it's still there. Besides, can the matter of a scholar be called water? Pooh, that's called striving for excellence. Master, it seems that everyone is like him, so particular about details. The densely packed small characters quickly filled several pages of paper. Watching the pitch-black sky outside, he rubbed his slightly sore wrist and satisfactorily put away all these white papers. Tomorrow, continue. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. After 1 month you are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. After 1 month during the day, I go to the martial arts school to practice palms and martial arts, and at night, I go home to copy books and earn money. Time flies by in a fulfilling and busy way. Unconsciously, a month passed quickly. Changsheng had long speculated that his martial arts talent might not be very good, but he did not expect that his bones would be so poor. It's been over a month now, and his cloud rising palm finally manages to get started. Name: Changsheng, talent. Immortality, age 18, martial arts. Cloud rising palm. Skin membrane chapter, beginner 0/10, skill. Confucianism, beginner 70 out of 100, But fortunately, I finally got started. Gu Changsheng looked at the cloud palm that had already been included in the attribute panel, took a light breath, and a hidden smile appeared on his face. Congratulations, junior brother Gu. You have finally started using cloud palm. On the practice field, senior brother Lin Jun, who was familiar with Gu Changsheng, heard that Gu Changsheng had made a breakthrough and quickly walked towards him, congratulating him. There's nothing to congratulate on. I've been in the martial arts school for over a month now, but I've only just been able to get started. My aptitude for practicing martial arts is really... Sigh. It's hard to say in one word. Gu Changsheng sighed and smiled bitterly as he spoke. Lin Jun was taken aback by the words. He was right and didn't know what to say for a moment. Indeed, among so many people in the martial arts school, there are not many who have only practiced cloud palm to the entry-level in just over a month. It can be said that such martial arts qualifications, even if not the worst type of people who practice martial arts, are at least relatively poor. But after being stunned for a moment, Lin Jun still comforted by saying, qualifications are not necessarily that important. Don't be too discouraged, junior brother Gu. As long as you study hard and practice persistently, there is still hope for you to break through and become a martial artist. He said. In terms of the martial arts aptitude demonstrated by Gu Changsheng. If he were just an ordinary person who could persist in practicing martial arts for a lifetime without slacking off, a third-rate martial artist wouldn't dare to say it, but it would still be possible for him to break through and become a non-level martial artist. Even third-rate martial artists have a slight possibility. Unfortunately, humans are not machines, and the qi and blood in their bodies will gradually decline with the passage of time. There are not too many people who can persist like this for a lifetime. According to Gu Changsheng's own estimation, he will need to persist in practicing martial arts for about 10 years, or even more, before he can enter the realm of those who are not skilled in martial arts. However, the current situation in the state of Chu is like an old man who is already critically ill, emitting a smell of decay from all over his body. Thinking this in his heart, Gu Changsheng frowned and could only take a step to see. However, if the situation was not right, he immediately packed up his things and ran away. I definitely won't bring my head back. Time has just entered noon, and there is still a lot of time in the day. In the following time, Gu Changsheng will continue to familiarize himself with the newly introduced cloud palm. He can now sense the qi and blood in his body, which is also a sign that a martial arts skill has reached the beginner level. Qi and blood surge, blessed on both palms. I have to say, this feeling is still very good. Clothes fluttering, the wind howling in my ears. He seems to have returned to his childhood in a previous life, with a wooden sword in his hand. There is not a single rapeseed flower on that acre that can escape his sharp swordsmanship. However, later on, a woman with even more profound martial arts skills appeared, and her outward aura shook him so much that she couldn't lift her sword on the spot. Then he was brought up to the back of Fate's neck. Being held down and beaten by a woman I once dreamed of wielding a sword to the ends of the earth. Now, he has indeed come to a world where martial artists and martial arts coexist. Even now, he has embarked on the path of becoming a warrior. But this world is really too dangerous. Still wait for him to achieve unparalleled divine skills, invincible in the world. At that time, let him wield his sword and go out of the mountain again. Many secondary images flashed through Gu Changsheng's eyes. With emotion, but soon it turned back into firmness. All the way. Returning home from the martial arts school, at his doorstep, Gu Changsheng stood far away and saw a figure that made him feel somewhat familiar. Brother Gu, you have finally returned. The owner of the voice is named Zhou Hui, and like him, they are all children of the state of Chu. It seems that Gu Changsheng was still quite familiar with his original body before, but after his original body cooled down, he became much less sociable due to being busy practicing martial arts. Brother Zhou, have you been waiting for me here all this time? Gu Changsheng opened the door of the bookstore and invited the weekly meeting to come in, puzzled. Zhou nodded at the meeting and said, "Yes, I've been waiting for you here for a long time, just waiting for you to open the door. Brother Gu, what have you been busy with lately? Many times during the day when I passed by here, I saw that the door to your bookstore had not been opened." Gu Changsheng's footsteps paused slightly, and he frowned lightly and said, "Sigh. You know, my body has never been good. After getting seriously ill, I suddenly feel like I need to exercise more. So, recently I went to the martial arts school in the city to learn some martial arts." The fact that he went to the martial arts school to practice martial arts, even if he wanted to keep it a secret, he couldn't keep it from anyone. "So, it doesn't matter if you say it out loud." Hiss. Brother Gu, you are so passionate. The weekly meeting seemed to have misunderstood something, and he looked at him with a surprised yet somewhat shocked expression, followed by a hint of emotion. I recited a poem to him on the spot. How deep is asking for love? Only in a dream of a serious illness can one know. Miss Lu got married. Gu Changsheng fell seriously ill. And when she recovered, she went to the martial arts school to practice martial arts. And even more coincidentally, the person Miss Lu married was also a warrior. Gu Changsheng also hesitated for a moment before understanding the meaning of the weekly meeting. He couldn't help but feel speechless. To be honest, he had almost forgotten the figure of Miss Lu. It was only after Zhou Hui's words that he could remember it. Unfortunately, since getting married, Miss Lu has never come to buy books again. Gu Changsheng secretly felt regretful. It wasn't regretful for Miss Lu's marriage, it was a secret love in her original life. What does it have to do with me, Gu Changsheng? But I feel a bit regretful for missing one major customer. Hey, is this a new book? Zhou Hui let out a soft sigh and picked up a miscellaneous book called Laughing Proud in the Jianhu from the bookshelf, asking Gu Changsheng. Gu Changsheng immediately became interested, and this was his first client since the publication of this book. This is a newly arrived book, written by a hermit named Taoyuan. It truly possesses everyone's style, captivating, gripping, exquisite, and irresistible, often leaving people amazed. Gu Changsheng boasted without blushing or jumping, boasting loudly. And that Taoyuan hermit, obviously, is himself. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Is this a talent that a person can possess? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Is this a talent that a person can possess? Taoyuan, taken from the hustle and bustle to seek tranquility. The saying goes, the great is hidden in the market, the small is hidden in the wilderness. Although Yojia bookstore is not a paradise, it has nothing to do with peach blossoms. But for Gu Changsheng, who traveled here on his first day of junior high school, he is also worthy of the peach blossom land. After all, it is also a place where he can rest, no matter how bad it is, it can always fill his stomach, much stronger than those unstable disaster victims outside. Today I sold one book and received 81 in my account. After seeing off the weekly meeting where he could recite poetry, Gu Changsheng looked at the sky outside and felt that it was almost dark, so no one would come to buy books again. He scooped up a large pot of rice and steamed a piece of leftover pork from yesterday. After more than a month of practicing martial arts and dietary supplements, this body is clearly much stronger than when he first crossed over. He has now entered the martial arts realm and mastered the qi and blood in his body. Although he is just the younger brother among the martial artists, he cannot even be called a martial artist. He is just an ordinary person who understands a little bit of moves. But usually one or two big men with bare hands find it difficult to get closer to him now. During the day, although he told senior brother Lin Jun that his bones were poor and he couldn't express himself in a single word, it seemed that he no longer had much hope of becoming a martial artist. But in fact, Gu Changsheng was not discouraged at all and had no doubt that he would step into the realm of martial arts. What if there is a difference between the roots and bones? Time is always the best teacher. He will not age, in other words, his body will always remain at its peak, and his qi and blood will not decline over time. Becoming a true warrior is only a matter of time. And he has been in the martial arts school for almost a month now, but he has never seen the owner of the martial arts school. It can be imagined that someone like him who comes to the martial arts school to learn martial arts is more like spending money to buy an unremarkable martial arts book. The martial arts school is only responsible for providing a little guidance and a place to practice martial arts. 15 Tales of Silver, a non-mainstream martial arts book. For Gu Changsheng, this is also very valuable. And when the deadline for payment is 2 months later, can you still stay in the martial arts school and become an official disciple? Gu Changsheng has no expectations and does not attach much importance to it. He only entered the martial arts school to obtain a martial arts book, and his goal has always been clear. The next step is to focus on breaking through and becoming a non-mainstream martial artist, while also managing a good bookstore. Gu Changsheng thought about his future path and murmured to himself. Now he has less than 3 taels of silver left. If he doesn't manage his bookstore well, he may not want to drink the wind from the west when he comes out of the martial arts school in 2 months. Of course, by that time, he might have already sold out the few acres of thin farmland that Gu's family owned outside the city. Gu Changsheng did have this plan for a long time, but he habitually persisted for a while and was prepared to wait for a while before making any further decisions. Thinking of another news brought by Zhou's meeting, Gu Changsheng shook his head. Another year is coming for the imperial examination in the state of Chu. Of course, he definitely won't participate. I'm afraid there might be a big hole in my mind if I'm still taking the imperial examination at this time. And he didn't persuade the weekly meeting, there's no need. If we look at our life trajectory from before, perhaps we will successfully pass the imperial examination and become a scholar in another round after a few years. But at the age of 30 or 40, just like the great-grandfather, grandfather, and father of the Gu family to be humane, the 4 scholars of the Gu family. Of course, the prerequisite is that the state of Chu can still hold on until that time. But he is not the original body, and Gu Changsheng is also very certain that the original body has completely cooled through, leaving no regrets, reluctance, or obsession in his body. The next day, Gu Changsheng just arrived at the Chuyan martial arts school in the inner city with a small jump step. I found many people gathered around the entrance of the martial arts school. After approaching the crowd with some confusion in his heart, he naturally kicked his hands inside his wide sleeves. Inside these 2 sleeves, he sewed 2 large bags of lime. Almost all of them come in the size of a purse, they can be taken and used at any time, and can be easily opened with just a gentle release, which is very convenient. Although it doesn't seem like there's any danger from the situation, it doesn't prevent him from being prepared. In the crowd, there were several men with uniform clothing, embroidered with green snakes and thick and sturdy figures, led by a middle-aged man holding a sword with a tiger back and a bare waist. Their temples were bulging, and they looked like martial artists, exuding a formidable aura. And in front of these people, facing the gate of the martial arts school, there was a soaked, white corpse placed. The Green Snake Gang. Looking at the iconic symbol of the green snake coiling its body and tongue, Gu Changsheng's mind instantly flashed with the name of this gang. The Green Snake Gang is also a well-known major gang in Yuzhou City, and like the Shuangdao Gate in the south, it ranks alongside the 4 major gangs in Yuzhou City. Gu Changsheng frowned. He didn't know what had happened, and his heart was filled with mist. Suddenly, he saw a familiar figure in the crowd. He leaned over and touched the person. Brother Luo. Cough cough. Brother Gu. Luo Daong was eagerly watching in the crowd when he suddenly heard someone calling his name in his ear. Looking up, it was Gu Changsheng, and he pretended to cough awkwardly for 2 times. After all, he was also watching some jokes from his own martial arts school and was caught in the act. Do Brother Luo know what's going on? Gu Changsheng didn't seem to have seen the scene just now and was still asking him. Like him, Luo Daong learns martial arts in a martial arts school. However, He is usually very talkative and has good relationships with many people in the school, just like Gu Changsheng. At the very least, I know that this person exists in the martial arts school. TSK. Brother Gu, you probably don't know. Luo Daong clicked twice, and when he talked about it, he immediately became interested. His expression was vivid, and he said to Gu Changsheng in a vivid voice, "Do you know the Xiao Huan in our martial arts school?" Xiao Huan. Gu Changsheng immediately recalled that his memory was good and he quickly remembered this person. It should be a newcomer who has only been in the martial arts school for a few days. He usually behaves in a low-key manner, even practicing martial arts by hiding alone in a corner, just like when he first arrived at the martial arts school. As for more, Gu Changsheng couldn't think of it. However, since Luo Daong mentioned Xiao Huan, it is obvious that the current situation should be related to Xiao Huan, as long as he continues to speak. Sure enough, Luo Daong didn't even wait for him to answer, so he couldn't wait to continue talking to him. Xiao Huan only entered the martial arts school 10 days ago, but you must not know why he entered the school. It is said that he entered the martial arts school because he offended a small leader of the Green Snake Gang in the north of the city and had no choice but to enter to avoid trouble. What protagonist template is this? Gu Changsheng was shocked in his heart and opened his mouth slightly, feeling momentarily speechless. What is this? Not a genius? I have only been practicing martial arts for 10 days in total, and I may have already reached the beginner level in 3 to 4 days. Compared to him, this useless material that takes more than a month to get started on the dark and stormy night of yesterday, Xiao Huan chose to personally blade the young leader of the Green Snake Gang. Unfortunately, 100 secrets were discovered by others. But no matter what, even if there were elements of surprise attacks inside, this little leader had already entered the martial arts world for many years, but was killed by someone who had just stepped into the martial arts world. It's unbelievable. If it weren't for someone witnessing it with their own eyes, no one would believe it. How could there be such a talent for martial arts in the world? Gu Changsheng expressed that he doesn't quite understand. Is this really a martial arts talent that humans can possess? The false protagonist. Submissive, cautious, always ready to run away. The true protagonist. A martial arts genius, indifferent to life and death. If you don't agree, do it. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Visiting Senior Brother Xiao. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Visiting Senior Brother Xiao. Junior Brother Gu, do you think the gap between people is even greater than the gap between people and dogs? Luo Daong suddenly felt a little low as he spoke, with a hint of envy and sadness in his eyes. This is the first time Gu Changsheng has seen such a Luo Daong. It seems that he is also a person with a story. However, among so many people in the martial arts school, there are actually quite a few who have stories, such as Xiao Huan, Luo Daong, and himself. Actually, everyone has their own reasons and stories for practicing martial arts. Brother Luo, is it appropriate for you to say that? Gu Changsheng pointed at himself with a wry smile. He hasn't even started talking about anything since he started over a month ago. The two of them were talking when the gate of the martial arts school was suddenly opened from inside. The two of them stopped talking in an instant and looked sideways. I saw Senior Brother Qi walking at the front, followed by Lin Jun, Xiao Huan, and a few others, walking out of the gate of the martial arts school. Overlord side leakage. At this moment, Gu Changsheng really wants to play them a song. The King of Gamblers March is perfect. Unfortunately, the situation on site did not allow him to do so. Just like meeting two big shots, Wang versus Wang, Jiang versus Jiang. The younger brothers on both sides were very proactive in giving up their best positions to their older brothers. Standing behind the two, glaring angrily. If one's gaze can also kill, they may already be fighting fiercely. Are you Xiao Huan? The strong man led by the Green Snake Gang, with a tiger back and a bare waist, glanced at Senior Qi and then turned his gaze to Xiao Huan behind him. His tone was cold, and his gaze was sharp with scrutiny. Did you kill my people? There is no inquiry in the words, only affirmation. In an instant, the atmosphere on site suddenly became somewhat tense. Changsheng frowned slightly imperceptibly. He looked at his current position and found himself relatively behind. With both hands in their pockets, they pinched the 2 bags of lime tied inside their sleeves, then gently moved their steps and stood behind Luo Daong. I feel a little relieved to continue reading. Xiao Huan opened her mouth, clearly wanting to say something. But suddenly pulled by Lin Jun next to him. Senior brother Qi stood at the front and looked at the person across from him, saying, Zhang Hu, what happened to the members of your Green Snake gang has nothing to do with me, my junior brother. Arrogance. Qi Xiao. You his mother are treating me like a fool. Zhang Hu of the Green Snake sect was about to scold. If it weren't for someone witnessing it with their own eyes last night, he would have almost believed in your evil. This is simply insulting his intelligence. Zhang Hu, whether you believe it or not, none of your people were actually killed by Xiao Huan. They must be someone with ulterior motives stirring up trouble here. Qi's senior brother repeated with a very positive expression and found a reason. After speaking, he paused and continued. Also, Xiao Huan. The master of the Cloud Martial Arts School who has been taken over by me has officially become a disciple. He is the person who has taken over from the Cloud Martial Arts School and also my junior brother. TSK. This person. Luo Daong listened in front, his eyes almost turning red with envy. The owner of the Cloud Martial Arts School is truly a second-rate martial artist, and is an absolute high-level figure in the entire city of Yuzhou. It is something that many people cannot envy to be accepted as a personal disciple by such a person. Of course, the leaders of the Green Snake Gang or the 4 major gangs in Yuzhou City are also second-rate warriors. Changsheng didn't speak, just quietly watching the scene. Upon hearing that Xiao Huan had been accepted as an official disciple by the master of the Cloud Martial Arts School, Zhang Hu from the Green Snake Gang squinted his eyes, unsure of what he was thinking and was very wary. When I came out, the owner asked me to bring a message to the leader of your gang. One day when I have free time, I will definitely set up a banquet in the city to entertain the leader of your gang. At this moment, senior brother Qi timely handed a step to the Green Snake Gang. Sure enough, upon hearing this, Zhang Hu's originally squinted eyes quickly relaxed and he laughed heartily. He waved his hand and had the body carried away from the entrance of the martial arts school, causing a misunderstanding in exchanging polite greetings. The martial arts world is not about fighting and killing, the martial arts world is about human relationships and worldly wisdom. In fact, just a small leader is not valued by the Green Snake Gang. The young leader of the Green Snake Gang, who had just been carried away, said, "Are you polite? The main issue is still face saving. Although I lost a little bit of face this time, fortunately there is still a reason for it. As long as I don't care, I can still get by with my face. And it is still unknown what else the Cloud Martial Arts School may pay for Xiao Huan's affairs, so the inside is also preserved. As for whether it is worth it, it can only be said that different people have their own opinions. There's no trace of moisture, it's all dark." Watching the people of the Green Snake Gang leave, Changsheng and Luo Daong quickly stepped forward. At the same time, many people emerged from the crowd of onlookers and spectators, all of whom were disciples of the martial arts school. Arriving next to senior brother Qi, senior brother Lin Jun was still shamelessly flattering him. Changsheng couldn't help but turn his head. Being a good person is just a dog's leg. His spare time scanned Xiao Huan, and he didn't realize before that such an ordinary appearance would actually be a martial arts genius. At the same time, I made up my mind to stay away from this Xiao Huan in the future. Because people like him are usually particularly capable of causing trouble. Changsheng hates all kinds of troubles the most. Not only him, but also many people's eyes were staring at Xiao Huan. There are various emotions involved. Enter the martial arts school with senior brother Qi and others. At this moment, on the vast practice ground of the martial arts school, there are many people standing. Led by an old man standing with his hands down. Master. This is the first time Changsheng has seen the owner of a martial arts school. This is a genuine second-rate warrior. Master. Qi's senior brother led everyone to the front of the owner and saluted. Master. Changsheng and others immediately saluted. The owner nodded slightly and asked, has everything been handled? All handled, the members of the Green Snake Gang have already left, so there should be no follow-up, replied senior brother Qi. Okay, I understand. The owner nodded lightly and didn't say anything more, just keeping his gaze fixed on Xiao Huan. It is obvious that what happened outside the martial arts school just now. In the eyes of the museum owner, it may just be a small matter. Perhaps you all already know that Xiao Huan is the disciple I just received and the seventh personally transmitted disciple I received. The owner looked around and said to everyone. Suddenly, there was a commotion on the entire training ground. Some people already know, but others don't know yet. People like Changsheng had already heard from Qi Xiao outside. But in the end, all the noise and discussion converged into one sentence. Say goodbye to senior brother Xiao. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. After 2 months you are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 10. After 2 months, if we compare the Chuyun martial arts school to a sect, people like Changsheng and Luo Daong can only be considered as outsiders or named disciples at most. Of course, it's more likely to be a leak, and Xiao Huan is the true legend and core disciple of the martial arts school. Both the root and talent are extremely outstanding, and martial arts has reached the beginner level in just 3 days. Now he is still accepted as an apprentice by the museum owner, and his future is bright. As long as he doesn't fall midway, he will definitely become a third-rate warrior in the future. Even second-rate warriors. There is a high possibility. But whether it's a third-rate or a second-rate, in this city of Yuzhou, they are already considered to be top-notch people. It can be said that the carp leaped over the dragon gate and ascended to the sky with one step. This was still done under the watchful eye of everyone. How can one not be envied? Watching Xiao Huan proudly leave with the owner in just an instant, the training ground suddenly became very lively. Everyone is talking and discussing, one by one. I really wish I could replace it. I didn't realize before that senior brother Xiao is actually a genius. Yeah, he's not as handsome as me yet, and I haven't paid much attention to him. Please order your face. Changsheng almost couldn't help but laugh out loud, unaware of a group of ordinary-looking guys who looked like passers-by armor. Where did you come from? How dare you say you're handsome? He's so handsome, did he say anything? No. I'm very handsome, I know, but I never say it. Changsheng actually has a worry every day when he wakes up. That is, looking at his reflection in the water, often frowning, too handsome, not conducive to his concealment. Who knows, being too handsome is also a kind of distress. When he has the opportunity in the future, he must learn a disguise technique, not only to conceal his youthful appearance, but also to be less handsome and eye-catching. The best way to pursue excellence is to be ordinary and unremarkable. Just, pitiful for the dream in the heart of this handsome 900 million heroine. Time is like flowing water, fleeting in the blink of an eye. 2 months later, Changsheng had been at the martial arts school for a full 3 months. At this moment, he is mobilizing the qi and blood in his body. He exerted most of his strength and fiercely hit a wooden stake standing in front of him. When the palm was removed, a palm print collapsed on the wooden stake. The power of one palm can penetrate 3/10 of a tree. You have a good grasp of Chuyun palm, very proficient, but unfortunately, your qualifications are not good. Senior brother Qi stood by and watched, shaking his head with a hint of regret in his eyes. If your body's qi and blood were several times stronger, this wooden stake wouldn't be like it is now, but had already been cracked by your palm. Senior brother Qi's comments were very insightful, and Changsheng lowered his head with a bitter smile in his eyes. His qualifications are not very good, and he doesn't have much money on him. Just supplementing with meat during daily martial arts practice has already made it difficult for him to make ends meet, let alone using it for drug use. The accumulation of qi and blood in his body will naturally be slow. After a pause, senior brother Qi said in a slow voice, "Junior brother Gu, 3 months have already arrived. Do you want to continue paying or? I don't have any remaining funds in my disciple's family, so I'll come back when I've saved enough money." Changsheng stood up and saluted, with a hint of reluctance in his eyes, but he was still relatively free-spirited and spoke respectfully. Sigh. Senior brother Qi sighed as he watched his receding figure. He knew that this person probably wouldn't come again. Many people have told him this before when they left. But there are very few people who can come back after leaving the martial arts school. Either forced to make a living, or no longer determined to practice martial arts. And most of the people who can come back are those who have successfully broken through and become martial artists, because they only come back due to the subsequent cultivation issues. For someone with great perseverance and determination, the martial arts school is also willing to sell their subsequent techniques to them. After all, as a warrior who has also come out of the Cloud Martial Arts School, there will always be some affection. Besides, obstructing the path of martial arts is like killing parents. Before leaving the martial arts school, Changsheng turned around and glanced at the huge training ground. Just like when he arrived, dozens of teenagers were sweating profusely. However, there were not many familiar figures left for him. The people walking on the practice field may have been similar to every young man. But how many of them can eventually become warriors? There must be him inside. Practice martial arts at the March Martial Arts School, go home and continue selling books. Changsheng withdrew his gaze and muttered inwardly. Yuzhou City belongs to Yuzhou in the southwest of Chu State. It used to be the capital of Yuzhou a long time ago, but now it has gradually become an ordinary county town. There are still various flavors with historical sedimentation. In the southern city of Yuzhou, there is a bustling scene of traffic and crowds. On the long streets, there are dense vendors and shops welcoming guests, creating an extremely lively atmosphere. There is a bookstore located at the end of this street. In the middle of the long street, there is a 3-story wooden tea house in a certain house. Pop. The storyteller clapped his hands and was stunned. His mouth was filled with emotion as he spoke a story he had heard from somewhere, which was very exciting. Changsheng, with a slightly contemptuous gaze from the waiter, asked for the cheapest tea sold in the tea house and sat down in a corner seat. He sat down calmly, as if he hadn't seen the other person's expression. As long as you don't feel awkward yourself, then you really won't feel awkward. I've brought business to your home, but I still have a dog's eye for people. How unforgettable. But it is said that the ethereal fairy is in opposition to the 9 swordsmen wielding swords. The wind is howling, the drizzle is continuous. Although both of them couldn't bear to draw their swords against each other, things in the world are never as they wish in their hearts. Sigh, fate is deceiving people. Perhaps it is fate's will that way. At the end of the story, the storyteller sighed in a low and eerie tone. The 9 swords hero and the ethereal fairy each only drew 1 sword. After this sword, the ethereal fairy laughed and bled to death. The 9 swordsmen remained silent for a long time. Afterwards, holding on to the ethereal fairy's body, he dug a pit not far away and cut out a tombstone with a few swords. He wrote, "The tomb of my loved wife, Hua Yuerong." The 9 swordsmen are said to be a figure from over 100 years ago in the Chu Kingdom's martial arts world. He has always fought with people with only the 9 swords, and after the 9 swords, either his opponent died or he died. It is obvious that even in the end, the story is still about the opponent dying. And his story with the ethereal fairy is even more impressive. 2 people from the martial arts world who were supposed to have a bright future, but because of each other. They were just like shooting stars passing by, which is truly heartbreaking. But with such a specific story, it was as if standing next to him and watching it with his own eyes. Changsheng felt that there must be some fabrication inside. However, he didn't come to the tea house to hear the storyteller tell stories. But rather, in order to understand the news about Yuzhou City or the entire Chu state. Speaking of which place in Yuzhou City has the most informed information, it's none other than tea houses. Sure enough, after the storyteller went down, the people inside the tea house only revealed a lot of useful information while speaking. Among them, the most important thing is that someone from Yunqian and other provinces has rebelled. It's not surprising that some people in these two states are looking back at Changsheng. The way the Chu government handled the severe drought in these two states was indeed a bit inappropriate, otherwise the people in these two states wouldn't have suffered so much. It can be said that in these two states, the Chu government has completely lost the hearts of the people. In fact, it's not just these two states. There are a total of 14 states in the state of Chu, and every year there are many wild rebel forces emerging one after another. Like wild grass that cannot be eradicated, it grows again when the spring breeze blows. End of this chapter.